Hi, and welcome back to TUTV. I'm Carter Reed.
And I'm Bruce Bigler.
We have an exciting lineup of stories this week, including a lineup of interviews with Bruce Bigler here and Dionne Lambert, the Office of Resilience and Belongings Director. I think that's just about all that's going to be talked about, unless you have something exciting you want to mention.
No, for sure. And today's world and local news. The US and China seem to be nearing a deal on the sale of social media platform TikTok. Officials from both countries have announced a framework for the divestment of the app from its Chinese parent, ByteDance. TikTok faces a ban in the US if it is not sold. Mississippi communities were shaken on Monday after two men were found dead in separate but similar incidents. In Cleveland, Delta State University student DeMar Travion, or Trey Reed, was found on campus near the pickleball course. Just hours earlier, Vicksburg police were notified of a white male hanging from a tree in a forest area near Ameristar Casino, later identified as Corey Zucadis. Officers have denied social media rumors suspecting foul play and have refused to comment, citing the ongoing investigation. TUTV's International Spotlight takes us to Poland, which shot down several Russian drones in its airspace last week, an event which has strained already frayed tensions in Europe in the shadow of the Russo-Ukrainian war. The September 9th event saw at least 19 Russian drones downed over the span of 7 hours. The drones were intended for Ukrainian targets. Yesterday, the United Kingdom began moving fighters to Poland to defend NATO airspace, while Russian drones were spotted over Romania. According to NBC, Poland's defense minister has since proposed that NATO establish a no-fly zone over Ukraine, a move considered off the table before last week's events.
We turn now to our top Oklahoma news stories. State Superintendent Ryan Walters announced a moment of silence for Oklahoma schools to honor Charlie Kirk, the conservative activist who was shot and killed last Wednesday in Utah. The remembrance was scheduled for today at noon, and schools were not required to participate. The Edmond Public Schools System, OKCPS, and Norman Public Schools stated that they would maintain their daily 1 minute of silence for reflection and prayer and disregard the additional period of noon, according to News 9. State troopers are wrapping up the first phase of Operation SAFE, Governor Kevin Stitt's program to clear homeless encampments on state property. As of Monday, 64 encampments and 1 million pounds of material have been removed, according to News on 6. Stitt and Oklahoma Highway Patrol have emphasized their goal is relocation, while local homeless shelters said that they are unprepared for the additional strain on resources. Mayor Monroe Nichols criticized the operation for its lack of coordination and communication with his office, TPD, and other community services.
This week's stateside spotlight highlights the disparity in the American media landscape. Fox News host Brian Kilmeade recently commented on air that mentally ill homeless people should be involuntarily executed by lethal injection while discussing the recent murder of Ukrainian immigrant Irina Zarutska. Just kill him, Kilmeade said, according to the New York Times. Kilmeade released an apology and still features on Fox and Friends. Meanwhile, longtime MSNBC analyst Matthew Dowd was let go after stating on air that hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions, end quote, following the fatal shooting of right-wing activist Charlie Kirk. In a September 10th speech about Kirk's death, President Donald Trump said, quote, "The radical left is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today," end quote.
Now switching to campus news, multiple TU departments and faculty are moving buildings as the Oxley College of Health and Natural Sciences moves back onto campus. When asked about the challenges of this mid-semester transition, English professor Dr. Bob Jansen stated, quote, "It's disruptive. It makes my work more difficult. It may be more fiscally beneficial to do it quickly, but it's extremely disruptive in terms of our work, serving our students, teaching, doing research, and maintaining any semblance of a normal weekly schedule. I've always been an advocate for good communication among interested and affected groups, and I also believe that in times of austerity, it's good management to involve all stakeholders in the decision-making process," end quote. With more on this story, here's TUTV reporter Brooklyn Wagenblatt.
The English department of TU is very upset with new developments in Chapman Hall. Making room for the nursing major, professors and students are disappointed in the admin's decision to yet again uplift the English department. Here's Dean Gredeman on the upcoming move.
To bring them back is going to be great just in terms of student experience and student convenience. And I really think it's going to be great for the kind of life of campus as well. All of the students, all of those faculty being back on campus is just going to provide a little bit more bustle and hustle to the campus, and I think that's always good, honestly. I love like a really nice, lively campus, you know, with a lot going on, and so bringing those students back is going to do that. The downside is going to be like, yes, we're kind of scrunching up. We're playing a little bit of musical chairs, so you know, sometimes to make room for faculty and you know, one space like Oliphant Hall, we're going to have to move things.
Here we have English student Madison Prinzo voicing her opinion on the move herself.
I know it's very disruptive for the students and the professors. I mean, they just moved, I think, 3 semesters ago, and that was also during finals. And if this is planning, like if they're planning to take the entire semester with this move too, like I don't know how they're supposed to be productive and available to help students if they have to, you know, worry about where their new office is going to be and packing up all their stuff.
The Honors College, TU Theater Union, and the Kendall College of Arts and Sciences are collaborating to produce a performance of Oedipus the King later this semester. Auditioning students were selected for callbacks last Wednesday. For more on the story, we go to TUTV reporter Reese Woods.
Out of this implacable silence?
You blame me, but you do not see yourself. In your anger...
After the first auditions concluded for this year's honors production of Oedipus the King early this week, students were then chosen for callbacks on Wednesday. Callbacks consisted of students reading various scenes from throughout the show to give student director Eleanor Hong a better idea of what certain people might look like in certain roles.
To send me into exile?
Exile? No, I want you dead! I want the world...
Many were called back to read lines for the same role they auditioned for, while others were called back for other roles that might be a better fit for them.
I'm feeling very excited for the play, and if I don't make it in, I will be sad. I won't lie to you. But I think I'll make it in. I think if I get called back for a different role other than Joe Costa, I would totally still participate because I'm not super tied to her, honestly. I just want to be in the play.
Callbacks are a large first component of the lengthy process that is casting and performing a show. The final cast list was released the following evening, solidifying who would be playing what roles in this year's play. I'm Reese Wood from TUTV.
Welcome back to the desk. Carter, a lot of stuff going on in our nation right now.
Busy time.
I think probably first and foremost, the biggest event that we have going on is the assassination of
Absolutely.
Charlie Kirk. What do you think that says about the trajectory of our nation right now?
I mean, I think it's something that's concerning in multiple ways. First of all, it's an act of violence that typically isn't seen on this scale, but also the fact that it's something that we're seemingly becoming used to more than ever. And this is, it's frustrating to see that. And it's, one of those issues that I'm not sure there's an easy solution, but it's definitely going to, require people to come together as a country to solve this rather than splintering off into more bipartisan bickering.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you so much for tuning in to news today, and we will move on and see you shortly after this break.
This Saturday, Tulsa took on the Navy in a tough football game, coming out 23-42.
It was so cool being in the stands for Military Appreciation Night. I loved seeing the Tulsa community come together and support our U.S. military.
It was such a fun night getting to dance with the Palm Squad. The energy from the student section was amazing, and you could really feel how much everyone was into the game. Performing is always special, but with such a big crowd and all the excitement, it made the whole experience even better.
German.
And I'm Yasmina Bruton.
And it's about week 4 on campus, so how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm having a really great time. This is both Elijah and I's freshman year, and I think I'm adjusting campus really well. I'm really liking it here.
Definitely. So, as we're getting closer and closer to the end, we have some very important things to discuss.
All right. Before we jump into today's interview, let's take a look at TU campus's events coming this week. This Thursday, the city of Tulsa will celebrate its diverse culture with its annual 918 Day Festival. The event will run from 5 to 9 p.m. on Chapman Green in downtown Tulsa and will feature food trucks, local artists, and more. The Latin American Student Association will celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month on Saturday with Festival de las Flores at 6 p.m. in the Lorton Performance Center. The event will feature food and live performances.
Our women's volleyball team will play its first home game this Friday in a doubleheader against New Mexico State and Oral Roberts. The Lady Golden Hurricane have won 7 matches in a row. Tonight, the University of Tulsa administration is hosting a town hall on the state of the university in the wake of changes made this summer. Veteran TUTV field reporter Benton Raymer is covering the event and will release his report this week.
This week is Belonging Week, featuring daily events hosted by the Office of Resilience and Belonging. Here to speak more about the Office of Resilience and Belonging Week itself is Executive Director Dionne Lambert in this TUTV interview exclusive.
Hello and welcome back to TUTV. My name is Bruce Bigler, and today I am here with the lovely Miss Dionne Lambert, the Executive Director at the Office of Resilience and Belonging.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, would you mind starting off by telling us just a little bit about yourself? What's your background? How'd you land at TU?
Oh man, that's all. We got way less time than that story. My name is Dionne Lambert. How I got here is I was I worked with Kelly McClouching, who was the VP for DEI prior, on additional consulting projects. And how I say I got into that particular field is I got really good at being fired. So I speak out. I am a champion. So that's how I landed. And I knew Kelly, and she was like, "Hey, we got this role over here. Are you interested?" And I was like, "Okay."
And so you've been in this role for how long?
I've been in this role for 2 years. I'll just answer your question. This is going into my second year of this role, but this is my going into my third year at TU.
Okay, so it sounds like you were here during the really instrumental time where we were shifting from the Office of DEI over to the Office of Resilience and Belonging.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what that change looked like.
Yeah, well, I had actually gone to the administration before we changed the name and suggested that we change the name only because I felt like DEI was missing some points. It was missing some key things that were needed in order to make it effective. And so we kind of held off for a bit. And then when everything happened, I was like, oh, so that name change you were talking about, remember? Yeah, so we wound up changing it, but it was really important to highlight that it wasn't because of all the political things that were happening. It really was a shift in the approach and not looking at it from the DEI lens, but really changing it to resilience and belonging. And that's how we got to that name. What do we want to build? What do we want to actually create? And that was filling in the holes and filling in the gap that DEI was missing.
Yeah. So in the past, I guess, 6-8 months since that change has happened, what kind of practical things have changed? How have we fostered that environment that you're looking for?
We're focusing more on people. We're more people-centric rather than data-centric. It's less about the history, it's less about certain data points, and more about who are the members of our community. Because it's not a one-size-fits-all. It really depends on who's in the community, what that particular community needs. And so that's what has shifted. We are focusing on, we now have a belongometer, an anonymous form that anyone can submit information of a celebration, of a suggestion, an idea, a challenge with belonging, and they can choose whether or not to identify themselves so that they can speak freely, they can speak truthfully about what their experience on campus has been. And that is a way for us to really glean what's the real climate of our campus. So
for sure, yeah. And I know that this week is an especially big week for you guys. Tell us a little bit about Belonging Week.
Yes, Belonging Week is a week where we do a number of different events to highlight belonging and resilience. So on Monday, so yesterday, we had an open house where people could just come through, do tours of our place. We are on Sorority Row across from the Union, you know, but people are like, where are you? Where do you, you know, so we gave people an opportunity to come through, do a tour of the living rooms, because it's got an interfaith prayer space, it's got study rooms, it's got 2 lounge spaces for students to come in and take advantage of. So we want people to be able to see that. And then today we did a lunch and learn talking exactly about the pivot. It's like, is belonging just a facade? You know, is that just another little whatever? And we talked about it. And then tomorrow we'll have game night in the Union. And then Thursday we will do our mosaic where we paint. Staff and students come together to paint a mask or a tile that represents their identity, and they have the option of either leaving it with us to display or they take it with them. And then on Friday we'll do our patio poetry kickback, which is an open mic, and all people are available. All are welcome to come, and this is the one place where spitting is not rude.
Well, I love it. Sounds like a great time.
Yeah.
One thing I also do want to talk about is obviously in this current time in America with the Charlie Kirk assassination and a lot of different really tragic events that are going on in our nation. How can TU students fight those kinds of evil things and embrace the values that you're talking about on campus and beyond?
Yeah. Well, it really boils down to humane humanity. How are we being humane with each other? How are we caring for each other? How are we seeing each other? And it's really important for us, especially with so many different ideologies and beliefs and positions and perspectives and lived experiences, that we create space for each other. Like, it may not be something, you may not understand my perspective, but can you at least be curious? Can you at least agree that my feelings are valid? Same thing, I may not understand your perspective, but I can make space and be curious about the things that are important to you, and maybe that'll help me to understand why you feel the way that you feel. So I think extending grace to each other is really important at this time, and practicing curiosity as opposed to judgment.
For sure. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate having a champion on campus to fight for us, and we're so glad that you have been that.
Thank you.
We're really excited
My
to
honor.
see where this continues to go.
It's my honor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all for tuning in.
Career Fair is tomorrow. TUTV's Jody Hollins was on the ground this week to capture the campus climate as TU's largest annual networking event draws near.
Prior to the Career Fair, Kane Careers offers plenty of services in preparation for the event. Mock interviews, free haircuts, closet raids where students can receive free professional outfits, and many more. The feedback for these events are generally positive, but as for the Career Fair itself, students have mixed opinions.
The Career Fair doesn't have any employers that I'm interested in. Like, all the employers that I'm interested in, I already have interviews with, and so there's just not really a point in me going.
Obviously we live in Tulsa, so there's a lot of petroleum and oil and gas people, which is great, and I believe that's a great option, but there's a really limited amount of other opportunities for people who are not petroleum and or oil and gas.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed going to the Career Fair. I had fun talking to all the employers and learning about all the opportunities I have, so I definitely plan on going again this year.
No, I've never been to a Career Fair because it usually happens when I have tennis practice, but if they had more flexible hours, then maybe I could go.
Well, that's certainly a lot of things going on campus this year, or this week. Well, what about you?
I think it's a really great opportunity. I think it's so awesome that even freshmen get to go to the Career Fair, and I think if you're a freshman, it's really worth considering. I'll be there. Yeah, go make your face known.
And now to Carter Reed with the weather.
Hi, and welcome back to your TUTV weather. I'm Carter Reed. Let's look now at our 7-day forecast. Temperatures are going to be dropping slightly from what we've experiencing this past week, which will bring some much needed relief. However, that will come with showers for the next few days, as well as storms over the weekend, finally breaking early next week. If we look now at our GFS model, we can see we have cool air flowing zonally to our north. That's going to be cooling this moisture brought in from the south, causing all of that rain. Looking ahead early to next week, this is going to be Monday into early Tuesday. We can see cyclogenesis over the state of Oklahoma. That will proceed down to our southwest. As that happens, warm, dry air is going to be advected up and around to the north. What that's going to do is break that pattern that's been bringing that rain, giving us a little bit of cool air for a brief period here. Unfortunately, that will slowly deteriorate, bringing hot weather back into the area in the following weeks. I'm Carter Reed, and this has been your TUTV weather. Hi, and welcome back to our campus news section. I'm Carter Reed.
And I'm Reese Wood.
Well, it seems like there's a lot going on this week, certainly a wide variety of events. Anything you're particularly excited for?
Well, I am personally excited for the casting of Oedipus the King, the honors play.
Oh, wonderful.
I'm a little bit biased because I'm a big theater fan, and I'll be a part of it, so I'm very excited for that.
Well, wonderful. Well, now let's look into our campus news stories. The series spotlighting TU veterans and their significance on campus continues as we delve deeper into the voices and experiences of key figures in this community. Tony Scardino has the report.
Did you know that TU has a thriving and eclectic veteran community? This week, I take some time to learn more about some of them and their unique experiences.
I'm Dasha Tomnitz. I grew up mostly in Minnesota, and I joined the military back in 2018, the Air Force. I was active duty for 6 years in Altus, Oklahoma, actually. Got out in 2018. I deployed to Kuwait once back in 2015 and spent 6 months there. I'm in the Air National Guard now, up in Topeka, Kansas, actually. So I refuel aircraft still again, and I'm an E6, which is a technical sergeant. What drew me to TU was professors' ability to help you to your career. The medical board, since I am in biology pre-med, they have this wonderful medical board that helps you make sure that you have all your steps and all your applications to get to medical school. My dream would be to go to medical school next fall, actually, and become a medical doctor and hopefully become an oncologist, and specifically a radiation oncologist.
From the Air Force in pre-med, we transitioned to a ground pounder turned number cruncher.
My name is Troy Dixon. I was enlisted 11 Bravo infantryman in the Oklahoma Army National Guard. I was a graduate of Charles Page High School, and it was close to home at the time in 2003. And I obtained a Bachelor of Arts in Communication and Marketing as my undergraduate degree in 2007 before I joined the Army National Guard. I am working on my MSBA, Master of Science in Business Analytics. I had ran a company, I called it Dixon Multimedia, from 2007 to about 2016 before I joined the National Guard. I have been a front-end web developer for a number of projects and businesses in my professional career before enlisting and before getting into the master's degree program here at the University of Tulsa.
Join me again next week as I profile more student veterans in our community. For TUTV, I'm Tony Scardino.
Over the summer, a group of young African fellows came to TU for a 6-week program to shadow and work on citywide projects. The program's purpose is to develop lasting connections abroad while enhancing skills through leadership, academic study, and networking. Advisor Laura Foley further explains the initiative.
The Mandela Washington Fellows were 25 young professionals from across 20 African countries, and they came here to learn about public management.
So hi,
My name is Anthony, and I'm from Ghana.
My name is Moira Fiona Matenje. I am from Malawi, also known as the warm heart of Africa, and that is a small country in southern Central Africa. I had a lot of surprises with the campus itself. University of Tulsa is very beautiful, very impeccable, very clean, and the facilities are really top-notch. So I think that's one thing that I was very taken aback from, because of course I knew I was going to the University of Tulsa, but when I came, it was really completely, more than I had imagined.
Coming to America, I was looking forward to meeting key individuals in the ASL and then deaf community, because my hope was to come here and then improve upon the ASL language and then go back home to help the deaf learners in Ghana to improve their literacy and then text comprehension.
Obviously, everything that we've been doing so far has been very, fun and engaging. But I think for me, what stood out the most was probably meeting the mayor. He was such a nice guy, humble guy, and he really gave. I feel like coming into a city, especially in the United States, and being welcomed by the mayor of the city is something that is so grand, and it's something that I appreciated. It was a humbling experience for me, and I really appreciated it.
Something I'm gonna miss, because with my time here, I've spent so much time with deaf people, and this has helped me to improve my ASL language.
We're really excited now because several of the coaches and fellows are applying for reciprocal exchange grants for the coaches to maybe travel to the countries and continue to work on the projects.
The Quantum Computing Club at TU is a new organization which studies niche programming techniques and complex hardware systems. Members discuss developments in the rapidly expanding field of quantum technology. TUTV's Trey William has the story.
Over here at the Belovich Commons, the Quantum Computing Club is getting started this semester by introducing students to this new technology of quantum computing, explaining what it is and why it's promising for our future.
So I always found quantum computing to be interesting as something that was this almost mythical, faster computing scheme that's just out there in the distant horizon. And when I decided to start looking into it more and more, I was finding more and more that, hey, this isn't something on faraway horizons. This is something that exists. That it's still a developing field, but it's here. That got me interested into quantum computing, and I thought that there would be more students that were interested in it, so I decided to put together the Quantum Computing Club. Right now, we use Qubit Factory as a teaching tool. It is effectively a gamified learning resource for quantum computing that simplifies it somewhat to make it so that it's easier for people not familiar with it to engage. We're hoping potentially over the course of the semester and into coming semesters to start also using Qiskit, which is IBM's programming language for interfacing with their quantum computers. That would give the chance to actually run it on real hardware, because they give you, I believe it is 1 minute per month of free run.
The club's hope for the future is to be able to plan events where students can even write their own quantum code and discuss research within the field. They meet every Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m. in the Belovich Commons of Razor Hall. For TUTV, I'm Troy Williams.
Last weekend, TU faced their second loss of the season against the Navy. Sports correspondent Anderson Bell brings us his analysis of quarterback Baylor Hayes and Tulsa's offensive performance.
Last Saturday's football game against Navy was a roller coaster of emotions. Even though Tulsa came out to a 14-0 start in the first quarter, they ultimately fell to the midshipmen 42-23. There's a few main takeaways that we can have from this game. First, Tulsa's defense and Trey Lamb's defense as a unit appears to be leagues ahead of Kevin Wilson's defense from last year, forcing 3 turnovers in the first half alone and ultimately putting a stop to how bad the offensive performance by Navy's option attack could have been. Second, the offense still needs a lot of work. From receivers dropping easy passes to the offensive line just not appearing to do its job sometimes, the offense still has a lot to be desired. But third, what we can learn is that Baylor Hayes is probably the answer at quarterback. He just needs to get more comfortable. We saw him making impressive plays and doing good things out on the field, much better than his predecessor, Kirk Francis, was capable or willing to do, even with struggles at other positions on the offense. So ultimately, there does appear to be a bright future ahead for Trey Lamb's Golden Hurricane football team. It'll just take more time, more confidence, and more ability and chemistry with the team to get there. Thanks. I'm Anderson Bell.
Well, some exciting events going on all around campus this week, but I'm particularly excited about the Quantum Computing Club. What do you think about that?
Well, to be honest, I don't know really anything about quantum computing, but having a quantum computing club sounds really, really
could be the purpose of the club.
That's true. So maybe I should join to learn more about
I might have to stop by with you. Well, I'm Carter Reed.
And I'm Reese Wood.
And this has been your TUTV Campus News.